For centuries, the Great Pyramids of Giza have stood as a testament to human ingenuity, sparking wonder and a ton of wild theories. Aliens, a lost, super-advanced civilization? The truth, as archaeologists are discovering, is even more fascinating. It's a story not of extraterrestrials, but of extraordinary human organization, skill, and sheer determination. So, how did they really do it? Let's unravel the mystery of how the ancient Egyptians built these monumental tombs. First, let's talk about the sheer scale of the project. The Great Pyramid of Khufu alone is made of about 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. That's like stacking 1.5 million cars on top of each other. The workforce wasn't made up of slaves, as Hollywood often suggests. Instead, it was a highly organized, paid, and well-fed crew of skilled laborers. Evidence from a nearby workers' village, discovered by archaeologist Mark Lehner, shows that these weren't just random people pulled from their farms. This was a dedicated city. They found bakeries capable of producing thousands of loaves of bread daily, and evidence of huge quantities of meat and fish. These workers were respected professionals, and their burials were honored, some even placed in tombs near the pyramids themselves. We're talking about a rotating force of maybe 20 to 30,000 people at any given time, including quarrymen, engineers, toolmakers, and haulers. So, where did they get the stone? The bulk of the pyramid, the inner core, was quarried from a limestone plateau right on the Giza site. This was convenient. The quarry is still visible today, a giant horseshoe-shaped pit just south of the Great Pyramid. Workers would cut channels into the bedrock, insert wooden wedges, and soak them with water. As the wood expanded, it would crack the stone, freeing massive blocks. But the beautiful, smooth outer casing was made of a higher quality white Tura limestone, brought from quarries across the Nile. And the heavy granite for the inner chambers, some blocks weighing up to 80 tons, that came from Aswan, over 500 miles to the south. This is where the logistical genius of the ancient Egyptians truly shines. How did they move these colossal blocks? They used the Nile River as their highway. During the annual flood season, the water levels would rise, allowing them to float the massive stones on large wooden boats, bringing them much closer to the construction site. Recent discoveries, like the Diary of Merer, an ancient papyrus logbook, give us a first-hand account. Merer was a low-level official who detailed the transport of limestone from Tura to Giza. He describes his crew of about 40 men navigating a system of man-made canals that brought the boats right to the base of the pyramids. This discovery was a game-changer, confirming that they had engineered the landscape itself to serve the construction. Once the blocks arrived at the site, the real heavy lifting began. So, how did they get them up the rising structure? The most widely accepted theory involves a system of ramps. But not just one straight ramp, which would have needed to be over a mile long to maintain a manageable slope. Instead, it was likely a complex combination of ramps. Perhaps a straight ramp for the lower levels, and then a spiraling ramp that wrapped around the pyramid as it grew taller. Evidence for this comes from microgravimetry surveys, which have detected a lower density spiral structure inside the Great Pyramid, exactly where a ramp might have been. This internal ramp would have been built up along with the pyramid and then filled in. This is a much more efficient design than a massive external ramp that would have needed to be dismantled later. Another key piece of the puzzle is the tools they used. They didn't have iron or steel. Their primary tools were made of copper and a harder stone called dolerite. They used copper chisels and saws to cut the softer limestone. For the much harder granite, they likely used copper saws combined with an abrasive, like quartz sand, to slowly grind through the rock. They also used dolerite pounders to smash and shape the stone. It was a slow, painstaking process that required immense skill and patience. The precision is what truly boggles the mind. The base of the Great Pyramid is almost a perfect square, with sides differing in length by only a few inches. And it's aligned to true north with incredible accuracy. How? They likely used a method called the solar gnomon, or the pole star method. By tracking the shadow of a vertical pole or the movement of stars, they could create perfectly straight lines and right angles. For leveling the massive base, they probably flooded the foundation with water and marked the water line, creating a perfectly flat surface to build upon. Let's think about the social structure that made this possible. This wasn't just a construction project, it was a national project, a religious statement. The pharaoh was seen as a god-king, and building his pyramid tomb was an act of faith that ensured the stability and prosperity of the entire kingdom. It unified the country, centralized resources, and drove innovation in engineering, mathematics, and administration. The project was meticulously planned, with scribes keeping detailed records of everything from food rations to the number of blocks laid each day. Inside the pyramid, the engineering marvels continue. Look at the king's chamber. It's lined with massive granite blocks, and above it, there are 5 stress-relieving chambers with giant granite beams to deflect the immense weight of the pyramid above, preventing the chamber from collapsing. This shows a sophisticated understanding of structural engineering. They knew that a flat roof wouldn't hold, so they built this incredible internal support system. So, when we look at the Great Pyramids, we shouldn't see the work of aliens or a mythical civilization. We should see the peak of ancient Egyptian society. We see the faces of thousands of skilled workers, the minds of brilliant engineers and architects, and the power of a unified culture driven by a profound belief system. They didn't have magic. They had mathematics, ingenuity, and an incredible amount of hard work. The pyramids are a monument not to some lost technology, but to the enduring and almost limitless potential of human cooperation and spirit. The next time you see a picture of the pyramids, remember the bakers, the quarrymen, the boat captains, and the brilliant minds who planned it all. The real story is far more impressive than any fiction. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey back in time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history. See you next time.